Okay, good morning everyone. We'll start today's lecture, oxygen therapy. Hope all of you are in good health in this tense situation and enjoying variety of foods at home, and one most important thing, helping out your parents during this crisis. Am I right? Everyone is helping or not? So I think half of the topics in anesthesia have been covered up till now. Some 4 to 5 lectures are remained. So today's topic is oxygen therapy, which is very, very essential and important to know. What are the learning objectives? You should know what is meant by oxygen therapy. What are the various means with which we can deliver oxygen to the patients, and if what happens if excessive concentration of oxygen is delivered to the patient, what are the likely complications? Remember that oxygen is safe, as well as if you use it enormously, then it is going to cause problems. All of us know that oxygen is a colorless, odorless gas essential to maintain life. Our body needs oxygen to maintain our life and function of each and every organ. If you do not supplement oxygen, if oxygen is not supplied to vital organs for 3 to 5 minutes, then death at cellular level occurs and brain death is 100% going to occur. So when we encounter cardiac arrest, then we have to start hard by any means, compression, chest compression, ventilation within 3 to 5 minutes. After that, the chances of survival are decreased. So what is the definition of oxygen therapy? So administration of oxygen at a concentration that is more than that is present in the atmosphere. So normal atmospheric air contains 21% of oxygen. So we are giving higher oxygen than the atmosphere. So if we see the oxygen cascade, it is in the decreasing order. See, the atmospheric air has pressure of 160 millimeter of Hg. It is followed by, when we inhale oxygen, it comes to 104. Then in arterial blood, then by concentration, pressure gradient, oxygen dissolves. Then in arterial blood, it is 100 millimeter of Hg. Then in venous, it is 40 millimeter, and at mitochondria, 7 to 27 millimeter of Hg. If oxygen level falls below 3 millimeter of Hg, then anaerobic metabolism starts. That is a critical level of oxygen, below which anaerobic metabolism starts, and leading to metabolic acidosis or lactic acidosis. And what are the goals of oxygen therapy? So what are the goals of oxygen therapy? It is considered as a respiratory care, key treatment in respiratory care. Oxygen therapy is a medical treatment required in particularly respiratory care. The aim of oxygen therapy is to restore tissue oxygenation towards normal. How much is the normal oxygen saturation of a normal human being? It is between 94 to 98%. And when do you call the hypoxemia? When pressure of oxygen in arteries goes below 60 and saturation on pulse oximeter on room air when it shows below 90%. See, PaO2 means arterial oxygenation. It is normal is between 98 to 100. If it goes below 60 and on pulse oximeter when it shows saturation that is below 90% on room air, then consider it as a hypoxemia. And what is hypoxia? What is the difference between hypoxemia and hypoxia? Hypoxemia means decreased oxygen partial pressure in blood, and hypoxia is decreased oxygen level in cellular level. And it is the difference. So normal saturation is 95 to 98%. So our aim is to increase partial pressure of oxygen in the blood, thus giving more oxygen to the tissues. What are the indications? There are several factors, patient factors like cardiorespiratory disease, elderly patient, post-operative shivering, and after major operations like surgical factors like upper abdominal surgeries, thoracic surgeries, when patients are elderly, when pediatric patients are there, and when surgery lasts more than 4 to 5 hours, that is major surgeries. Physiological factors like hypovolemia, hypotension, anemia, and patient controlled analgesia. If patient is receiving IV infusion of opioids, particularly, all analgesics do not require oxygen to be supplemented, but if patient is receiving morphine, and in ambulance or in home setting also, patient with COPD, they need oxygen therapy. So what happens if there is oxygen lack? There are mild to, these are classified as mild to moderate symptoms and severe symptoms. Then CNS, cardiac, respiratory, skin, all these systems are affected. In severe, moderate, mild cases, CNS may show restlessness, disorientation, and severe form may represent as somnolence, confusion, impaired judgment, and loss of coordination. Then cardiac, first, compensatory mechanisms like tachycardia and mild hypertension occurs. That is compensatory mechanism. If oxygen is not supplied for more than 10 minutes or half an hour to 1 hour, then it may result in irreversible damage, that is bradycardia, hypotension, and arrhythmias. Respiratory also dyspnea, tachypnea, labored breathing. Then if oxygen lack is there, is continuing, then respiratory arrest is likely to occur and resulting in cyanosis. First, body tries to compensate in mild and moderate forms of hypoxemia. If it is not intervened at earliest, then it may go to irreversible damage. So you should identify that what patient is saying, why patient is restless, whether there is hypoxemia or whether there is pain. Because of pain also, patient may become restless. That by doing differential diagnosis, you should be able to understand. Then how oxygen is stored? It is stored in various oxygen cylinders, mega cylinders, short, medium size. There are cylinder sizes varying from A to E cylinders. In hospital settings, in like bigger hospitals, it is stored in very high sized cylinders in liquid form, because it becomes more economical for central oxygen supplementation. So it is liquid form, and in OT as a small setups, it is present as a compressed gas in a E type of cylinder, and instant use smaller cylinders are also available for home setting. How do you monitor whether patient is receiving adequate oxygenation or not? By seeing clinical features, as I have told just now, mild to moderate symptoms and severe symptoms, by applying pulse oximeter, what is the saturation, whether it is beyond 92 or below 90, then ABG analysis also, by doing PO2, PCO2 and pH of the blood. And here it is the figure of pulse oximetry. This is a single pulse oximetry probe, and what here displays saturation, heart. This is a oxygen saturation. It is showing 96, means patient is maintaining good oxygen saturation. It is heart rate, and this is heart rate and saturation. I am not able to see what is this. So these are the pulse oximeter probes. These are used in critical care, OT settings, and every wards, because every ward should have one pulse oximeter for observation, post-operative, or any complication arises. Then how the oxygen therapy is classified, what are the gadgets that are used, and how the system is classified. It is classified as low flow system, reservoir system, high flow system, and enclosures. Oxygen therapy can be given by following means low flow system. So what are the gadgets that are used in low flow system? Low flow system, the gas flow is insufficient to meet patient's peak inspiratory and minute ventilatory requirement. Means when patient requires minimal level of oxygen concentration, in such cases low flow system is useful. Oxygen is diluted with air, and as the ventilatory pattern changes, means if patient becomes bradypnea or tachypneic, that amount of only delivered to the patient. If bradycardia patient respiration becomes low, then oxygen supplementation also becomes low. It is not supplied up to the mark. So low flow system consists of nasal cannula and nasal catheter. So by seeing the patient's condition, we have to use these types of systems. Then I will show you the diagrams, figures of every gadget. And then high flow system, the gas flow is sufficient to meet patient's peak inspiratory and ventilatory requirement. So FiO2 is delivered whatever means of patient's ventilatory pattern has. If a patient is tachypneic, if respiration goes beyond normal, then high flow system supplies every means what is set oxygen flow, that amount of oxygen is supplied to the patient. It doesn't vary if patient's ventilatory pattern changes. So the examples are aerosol mask TPs with nebulizers that is used in critical care setups, venti mask that is also called as Venturi mask, high flow nasal oxygen cannula. This is the recent gadget that is used in critical care unit. Or now in a COVID scenario, you must know the various means of oxygen therapy, with which therapy these COVID patients are going to respond. If ventilatory, if their lungs are involved, if the patient gets admitted, instead of intubating the patient, many of the patients are maintaining this high flow nasal oxygen cannula, where the oxygen is, the flow rate is about 60 liters per minute, and very high concentration of oxygen is delivered. So now this is being used in this scenario, in this crisis scenario. And the aerosol mask is not to be used in the COVID cases, because generation of aerosols occurs, leading to high infection, high spread of viruses. And then just now I told you low flow system, high flow system, and this is the reservoir system. This reservoir system consists of a mask where you it is being attached with a reservoir bag with a partial breathing and non-rebreathing mask. And this we increase oxygen concentration from 80 to 100%. This is usually supplied when artificial ventilation is being given by bag mask ventilation in cardiac arrest patients. So what are the methods of oxygen administration? The oxygen delivery. So this is without capacity, means nasal catheter and cannula. This comes under low flow system, isn't it? I have told you low flow system, high flow, and with reservoir bag. So this is nasal catheter and cannula is included under low flow system. Oxygen flow up to 2 to 4 liter per minute are kept, and this cannula is kept in these prongs. This is a nasal cannula. These prongs are kept in nasopharynx. Particularly, we anesthetists, when we administer this nasal cannula, while doing patient under short GA or under spinal, patient requires little bit of higher oxygen supplementation than that is present in the atmosphere. That is more than 21%. It is comfortable if more than 4 liter of flow is weak. If we keep, that becomes uncomfortable the patient, and drying and blockage of mucous membrane occurs, and that oxygen goes waste. So the flow is limited up to 2 to 4%, and the oxygen delivered is 30 to 35%. So this is the nasal prongs. Nasal catheter. This is nasal catheter. It is not being used. It is a remote setup only. This nasal catheter is being used. So what are the merits and demerits of nasal catheter? Good stability, disposable, and it's low cost. But demerits are difficult to insert, and high flow increases back pressure. And it may provoke gagging. Swallowing may become either air swallowing or occurs. And in the cases of nasal polyps and deviated nasal septum, they may block insertion. And then comes, after nasal cannula, comes oxygen mask. This is a reservoir system. because mask is there, oxygen mask. You must have seen in OT or in wards, this many of the patients are with face mask. Mask has vents through which air is drawn in and added to oxygen. These are the vents, and through which air also, that is exhaled air also, means expired air is exhaled through these pores, and it is connected to the oxygen by through this narrow bore tubing. It is more comfortable than the nasal cannula because there is no, means anything it is inserted into nasopharynx that going to cause irritation to the nose, and then it requires higher flow of oxygen, that is 5 to 6 liters per minute, and the oxygen concentration delivered is more, that is 40 to 50%. What is percentage of oxygen delivered in nasal cannula is 30 to 35%, and there the flow rate is up to 4 liters. And here we can increase, we have to increase 5 to 6 liters, and oxygen delivered concentration is more. And it has to be removed while eating and drinking, of course. And the disadvantage, if you keep the flow rate below 5, then a rebreathing occurs. So, means it is must to keep the flow of at least 5 liters per minute for oxygen mask. According to the need of the patient, we have to increase the concentration. If patient is elderly, if it is his ABGs are not that up to the mark, if we require more oxygen concentration, accordingly we have to use the gadgets. In all these situations, patient should have spontaneous respiratory movements. And this is also one of the reservoir bag, partial rebreathing mask. This is a mask and this bag is attached, and this is a one wall is attached where exhaled gas is again inhaled. Some of the exhaled part is again inhaled by the patient. So this is called as partial rebreather mask, and the oxygen concentration delivered is 80%. So it is not that being used commonly. So non-rebreather mask is used commonly in cases of particularly arrest patients while giving CPR, or in cases of obese patient when they are obstructive sleep apnea syndrome is there, they are not maintaining with face mask. So many of the times with this reservoir bag, these patients maintain oxygen saturation. So the oxygen flow rate has to be up to 15 liters per minute, and the reservoir bag should be full during inspiration as well as expiration, and this increases this reservoir bag concentration of oxygen. And there is wall, so exhaled gases will not come again into the inhalational port. Exhaled gases will come out by other route. Only oxygen will be taken by the patient. There will be no rebreathing. So it is very, very useful for delivering 100% oxygen saturation. And then comes high flow system. Up till now we have seen low flow system, reservoir system, and then Venturi mask. It comes under high flow system. The oxygen flowing in this mask is under high pressure, and it delivers about 24 to 60% of oxygen. Where this Venturi is being used, so it is used in COPD patients where they are more dependent on hypercarbia, oxygen drive. If oxygen concentration is increased beyond 60%, then they may lead to hypercarbia and respiratory arrest. So gradual we have to increase the concentration in cases of COPD patients, where fixed amount of oxygen is to be delivered irrespective of their ventilatory efforts. So there are various colors of this Venturi mask. You see, blue, white, orange, yellow, all these colors are there, and the amount of oxygen concentration that is to be delivered by each this attachment, this wall, Venturi wall, is given over here, and how much flow rate is to be kept, this is also given. This is also written on these walls. If you want to give lower concentration, that is 24%, then 2 liters per minute of flow is to be kept. If highest, in cases of 60%, 15 liters per minute flow is maintained. So the patients who require fixed concentration of oxygen, then Venturi devices are useful. particularly used in asthmatic patients, where there should not be more oxygen to be delivered. So this is about Venturi mask. This is often used in COPD patients. Higher oxygen supplementation will block the hypoxic drive, leading to hypoventilation and hypercarbia. So excess oxygen supplementation may become hazardous in such type of patients. So in COPD patients, target saturation range is about 88 to 92%, as compared to normal anatomy, where we try to maintain above 94%. So ABG can reveal all this partial pressure. And in pediatric patients, oxygen enclosures are there. This is the oxygen body hood. And, this is hood and this is the enclosure. Whole of the head and body, more than half of the body is enclosed in the neonatal body is enclosed in the oxygen enclosure. Here the rate has to be 12 to 15 liters per minute. It is mainly used in neonates. And disadvantage is it is expensive, cumbersome, difficult to clean. So we do not come across this type of enclosures. It is being used in neonatology. And this is a hood where only head of the baby neonate is covered. So it requires less flow as compared to oxygen enclosure. So more than 7 liters per minute of flow is to be maintained this oxygen hood to prevent CO2 accumulation. Then oxygen is the safest drug, but if you use in excess, that may become poisonous. So what is the oxygen toxicity? Any patient can tolerate oxygen supplementation more than 60% or 100% for 48 hours. If more than that, if you supplement more than 60% of oxygen for more than 48 hours, then oxygen toxicity is likely to occur. So whenever you give any critical patient start oxygenation or patient is kept on ventilator, then see to it that gradually oxygen concentration is reduced. If you keep 100% oxygen on if patient is on ventilator, then try to minimize gradually day by day or within 48 hours up to 60 and below 60%. Then toxicity is less likely to occur. What are the organs they are affected in oxygen toxicities? Lung and central nervous system. CNS toxicity is in the form of nausea, restlessness, tremors. Convulsions also can occur. And pulmonary toxicity, patient coughs and substernal pain, and ARDS-like state means patient is unable to maintain oxygen saturation because of oxygen toxicity, excess oxygen. And there will be X-ray chest on plethoric fields like ARDS. Opacities will be seen after 3 days of oxygen supplementation, 100% oxygen supplementation. And patient may go in respiratory failure. So that should be kept in mind when you are giving oxygen supplementation, particularly critical care units and intensive care units. So this is one T-piece. When patient is not able to maintain oxygen saturation, this is an endotracheal tube. And with this T-piece, oxygen can be supplied and patient maintains oxygen saturation. If FiO2 is increased, means inspired oxygen concentration, if we keep the flow of 4 to 5 liters per minute, this is a T-piece. This is T-shaped piece attached to the endotracheal tube, and this is a water inside this bottle. This maintains humidity of oxygen, so dry air inhalation is prevented. So this is commonly used in our setups. After post-operatively also, if elderly patients, if not able to maintain, we do not extubate, but we keep on T-piece. We observe the patient in the post-operative period for 24 hours, and then detach after 24 hours. If patient is maintaining after detaching T-piece oxygen saturation more than 94%, of course, with T-piece patient is maintaining saturation more than 94. Observe on T-piece for 12 hours or 24 hours, detach T-piece, and then if patient is able to maintain more than 2 hours oxygen saturation of 94%, then you can extubate the patient. This is an endotracheal tube. This is a trial for removing the tube. So TPC is a very safe equipment. So how do you clean all this? Cleaning is very, very important nowadays because cross infection is likely to occur from one patient to another patient, and hospital infections are very difficult to treat. So these all are disposable gadgets and it is to be cleaned thoroughly. Actually, it should be used for once, but in our setup, in our scenario, many patients are not affording. In such cases, we can clean all the gadgets properly by clean soap with water, allow it to dry in chemical solution like Sidex or hypochlorite for 30 minutes and allow it to dry. Then you can reuse these instruments. So at last, oxygen is a drug. When appropriately used, it is extremely beneficial. But when misused or abused, it is potentially harmful. This is the take-home message for oxygen. So by this, you should know what are the various means of oxygen supplementation: low flow system, high flow system, and then with reservoir bag. If anyone asks you how it is supplemented, then with nasal prongs, nasal cannula, nasal catheter, oxygen mask, partial rebreather and non-rebreather mask. Then high flow system comes Venturi mask, and nowadays recent concept is high flow nasal oxygen cannula. All these are essential, means will be beneficial when patient is on spontaneous respiration. When by all these means patient is not able to maintain oxygen saturation by seeing ABG or by seeing saturation, then you have to intubate the patient and then put on mechanical ventilator and try to, if at start you are giving 100% oxygen, suppose patient is on mechanical ventilator, you have kept flow rate of 6 liters per minute, then try to reduce it up to 2 or 4 liters per minute, like this. Thank you.